true fella on the show, and that's Aaron Rodgers, Colin. I mean, hey, when in doubt, Aaron Rodgers, let's talk about him. Interestingly, a new report emerged that Pittsburgh came to the conclusion that Rodgers-Pickens and Aaron Rodgers would not get along well. Obviously, Pickens, very immature, had issues in college, and that's why they traded him before Aaron Rodgers even came on board. Now, I'm not saying this is the level of the Jets placating Rodgers. Hey, what would you like? Offensive coordinator, wide receiver, whatever you want, we'll give it to you. But this is starting to show, hey, Aaron, we're going to do what it takes to get you on board. I don't love it, but let's see if they draw the line at trading Pickens.
One of the ways I've always defended Aaron Rodgers is Tom Brady had no interest with immature wide receivers. Go get me Welker, who's in the league. Edelman took years to develop. Get me Randy Moss. And Randy Moss, by the way, was no trouble first couple of years in New England. And he was like Rain Man knowing offense, right? Belichick and Brady both talk about that. I'm going to defend Aaron Rodgers. Older quarterbacks don't want to babysit wide receivers. Dak Prescott came in. I defended him. I think privately said, listen, Dez is a headache. He's screaming at me on the sidelines. And Dez was a touchdown maker. But Dak, I'm not a babysitter. Brady, I'm not a babysitter. Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to back him 100% here. He doesn't have time to schedule a bad time, as Jerry Jones would say. He doesn't have time for Rodgers-Pickens to mature. Let's go get DK Metcalf, who, by the way, low maintenance, but he's an adult. He's been in the league. So I support the Steelers here. I support Aaron Rodgers here. Aaron's going to play one more year. He don't want to spend 9 games having to cool this guy off after he doesn't throw it to him on a post route.
So, Colin, you just brought up an interesting point. So, Aaron Rodgers, I don't have time. Do you think Aaron Rodgers in his head thinks, hey, man, I could win a Super Bowl or I could compete for a Super Bowl with Pittsburgh this year? Do you think he believes that in his head?
I'm never going to try to get into Aaron's head. I think all athletes have supreme confidence and generally have higher regard for their Super Bowl chances than reality. I think everybody in September, the Atlanta Falcons, during camp, that coaching staff's going to be telling them, you guys can win it all.
No, that's different. I'm talking about Rodgers specifically. He could have walked away from football. Nobody would have blamed him.
I think Aaron looks at this.
Pittsburgh.
Aaron looks at it and thinks, this is easily the best defense I've ever had. Easily. DK Metcalf's arguably the most talented receiver I've had. We got a high-end tight end. We've drafted the offense. I mean, Frazier's one of the top 3 centers in the league now from West Virginia. So I think Aaron looks at it and goes, hey, this is going to be like the Jets without the chaos. And at the end of the year, the Jets were pretty interesting when they didn't have as much chaos. So I think Aaron's talked himself into, we can be real disruptors here. And they may be. They could be.
Yeah. First off, I think there's some truth, but I think, this is just like, hey, in case Rodgers-Pickens is really great with the Dallas Cowboys, we can just blame Aaron Rodgers. We can just be like, well, Aaron Rodgers, he didn't really want Rodgers-Pickens and this or that. Like, I think there's some truth, and I've talked about this before, that all these seasoned veterans don't want to mess around with younger guys, whether it's the NBA, the NFL, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. Like, nobody's got time for that. I mean, even Patrick Mahomes was dealing with the headache with Rashee Rice on the sideline in the Super Bowl. I still, to this day, I still can't believe that you have Rashee Rice yelling at Patrick Mahomes on the sideline in the Super Bowl. And it's like, bro, like, what are you doing? The only reason why you're even going to remotely get a ring right now is because of that man. Like, what are you doing? And it's just, it's crazy to me. But the real reports were that Mike Tomlin wanted Rodgers-Pickens out. And he is a headache. He is a lot. And it is always this balance of you understanding that you have to deal with difficult personalities, different degrees of immaturity and whatnot. You're not going to have a locker room full of just great, grounded, earnest, genuine, innocent, people. Like, it's just not the way it's going to work. But you do have to balance, how someone impacts the locker room, because it does. There's a lot of people that have obviously not played sports competitively. And I think a good example that I can compare this to then is a classroom. I mean, I have to imagine majority of people watching this video have been in elementary school, middle school, high school, junior high, whatever. And you know how different the class can be when you have a couple disruptors, when you have one or two kids who are clearly just bad influences. And it can really bring down everyone. It really can. You start to influence other people. You have other kids who are a little bit more impressionable who now want to make that kid laugh or go along with it, or start trouble as well. It exhausts the teacher. The teacher has to constantly deal with it, and now the teacher is extra exhausted. Like it's and it's easier said than done just to be like, well, no matter how it doesn't matter. If he's great, he's got to stay, and this, that, and it's like that's just not the way this works. It's just not. I mean, you might have just a family member. When you guys are having a dinner, a cookout, or whatever, get together for a holiday, like you probably have at least one family member where it's just like, man, the vibe is just different when he's there. When he's there, it's just like, oh, what is he gonna say? He just like can't understand to not bring up that topic right now. And in front of the kids, we got an 8-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 4-year-old. Do you really need to bring that up right now? Like, no, we don't need to like talk about this, right? Whatever it may be. And it just changes it. And so, reportedly Mike Tomlin was like, all right, like I'm done with this. The benefit does not outweigh all of the negatives. And now you're just like, well, Aaron Rodgers factored into it. And it's just like, well, now you're trying to push this decision onto someone else. And, again, do I think he factored into it to a degree? Sure. But if you really wanted to keep Pickens, if you thought Pickens was elite and special and was going to become a top 5, top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, you're not getting rid of him for, 48-year-old Aaron Rodgers. You're just not. If Aaron Rodgers was like 30, then talk to me. And fully healthy and wasn't coming off an Achilles injury, for sure. I could see that. That makes sense. But like that's not the case here. Tom Brady also dealt with AB. All right, so that was something interesting as well. So, I think, like I said, I think there's some truth to it. I just don't think it's the whole truth, and I do think it's strategically set up in a way where you kind of cover your tracks here. You're like, well, we did it for Aaron, and Aaron's like, oh, thank you for doing that for me. But then also kind of like, if it ends up blowing up in their face, they're just like, well, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, weird. It's a weird story to come out right now, honestly. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Aaron Rodgers factoring into the Steelers' decision to trade George Pickens? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.